Hello and welcome. Welcome to another video from Messiah Kidnapped. In my last video, I said I was going to do a video about Pesach um, and whether or not Yeshua was eating the Passover lamb or the Last Supper. So we're going to look at all the four Gospel accounts, and we're going to see, because there's a chronological order involved with the feasts. You have Pesach, unleavened bread, first fruits, Shavuot. They're the first feasts. They're the spring feasts, as people will call them, and then you have the fall feasts later on. But we're looking at Pesach as to whether Yeshua was eating the Passover lamb or not. So we'll go through each and every one. If this is your first time, welcome. I hope that this can challenge people to actually go to the Torah and read it, because we're not taught, we don't understand, and we have probably read these things within the church system, and we just pass them by because we're taught that they're not important, and they are very, very, very important about the fulfillment, Yeshua's fulfillment of the feasts and of Scripture. So with that in mind, if you go to Matthew, so we're going to read from Matthew 26, and we're going to read from verse 1 to 5. Then we're going to read from 17 to 25. Then we're going to go into Mark, Luke, and John. So Matthew 26, verse 1 to 5. And we're not going to go into the full depth of, as I say, all of them, because we could be here, the video would be quite long. So I just want to concentrate on the order. Okay? And it came to be, when Yeshua ended all these words, he said to his taught ones, "You know that after 2 days the Pesach takes place, and the Son of Adam is to be delivered up, to be impaled." Then the chief priests and the scribes and the elders of the people came together at the court of the high priest, who is called Caiaphas, and plotted to seize Yeshua by trickery and kill him. But they said, "Not at the festival, lest there be an uproar amongst the people." So that's verse 1 to 5. So we move on then to verse 17 to 25. So 17, let me get a little drink of water. Verse 17 to 25. And on the first day of unleavened bread, the taught ones came to Yeshua, saying to him, "Where do you wish us to prepare for you to eat the Pesach?" And he said, "Go into the city to a certain man and say to him, the teacher says, my time is near. I am to perform the Pesach at your house with my taught ones." And the taught ones did as Yeshua had ordered them, and prepared the Pesach. And when the evening came, he sat down with the 12. And while they were eating, he said, "Truly I say to you, one of you shall deliver me up." And they were deeply grieved, and began to say to him, each of them, "Master, is it I?" And he answered and said, "He who has dipped his hand with me in the dish, he shall deliver me up." And indeed the Son of Adam goes, it has been written concerning him. But woe to that man to whom the Son of Adam is being delivered up. It would have been good for that man if he had not been born. And Yehuda, he who delivered him up, answered, said, "Rabbi, is it I?" He said to him, "You have said it." Now I want you to consider, Sorry. My throat's a little dry today. I want you to consider Yeshua is to reflect the Passover lamb, right down to the small detail, the smallest detail. If Yeshua is eating the Passover lamb, how can he be the Passover lamb? Because he is to be sacrificed at the exact same time as the Passover lamb. So the order of the feast, the spring feast, Passover, unleavened bread, within that you have first fruits, and then later on, after 49 days, 7 Sabbaths, you have Shavuot, Pentecost. But there's an order. Pesach, one evening to the other evening. So from the evening to the morning, and then you have sort of like midday, 3 o'clock of Passover, the sacrificed lamb. The lamb is sacrificed. And then that night, for the first day of unleavened bread, then the lamb is ate with the unleavened bread. So, how can Yeshua be in the Passover lamb if he has not been sacrificed yet? So, think about that. This isn't going to, for people who don't want to know about the feast of the Lord, they'll just pass this over, because I haven't been taught about the feast of the Lord and how important they are. But when you read the Torah and the accounts of Passover, first of all coming out from Egypt, and then obviously given the accounts in Leviticus and in Deuteronomy, you would, when you study those, you begin to and see these, things will begin to stand out and go, there's something not quite right. So I believe that people, the translators who were translating these things, translated them wrong, because first and foremost, you'll hear it say that these are the feasts of the Jews, and they're not. They're the feasts of the Lord. But they were getting things mixed up with Preparation Day and then Pesach, things like that, and unleavened bread. So I think there was either intentionally or unintentionally. I don't know. But when you study the Torah, you'll see that could be a contradiction. So, and with the Lord there is no contradiction. That's one thing. So now we go to, we're going to go to Mark's Gospel. So Mark, and we're going to chapter 14, verse 1 to 2, and then 14, verse 12. Okay? So 14 and 1 to 2. Now the Pesach and the festival of Matzah was after 2 days, and the chief priests and the scribes were seeking how to take him through treachery and put him to death. And they said, not at the festival, lest there shall be an uproar of the people. So again, not at the festival of Pesach. So that was verse 1 and 2. We go to verse 12. And on the first day of unleavened bread, when they were slaughtering the Pesach lamb, his taught one said to him, where do you wish us to go and prepare for you to eat the Pesach? I'm going to repeat that a little bit slower. And on the first day of unleavened bread, when they were slaughtering the Pesach, no. As he said, the lamb slaughtered and ready to eat that night. Because on the 14th day is Pesach, evening to evening, and then on the 15th day is unleavened bread. So you'll finish with that. We've read verse 12. So we're going to go to Luke's account. That was short because we're just trying to get the order. This is why we're doing this. So we're going to go to Luke chapter 22, verse 7 through 13. So Luke 22, 7 to 13. And on the day of unleavened bread came when the Pesach had to be slaughtered. Remember, again, the first day of unleavened bread is it's a high Sabbath. There shouldn't be any work done. You shouldn't be carrying things, doing things like that. It's a time to eat food and then do no servitude work, anything like that. And on the day of unleavened bread came when the Pesach had to be slaughtered. And he sent Kepha and Johanan, saying, Go and prepare the Pesach for us to eat. And they said to him, Where do you wish us to prepare? And he said to them, See, as you enter into the city, a man shall meet you carrying a jar of water. Follow him into the house he enters. And you shall say to the master of the house, The teacher says to you, Where is the guest room, where I might eat the Pesach with my taught ones? And he shall show you a large, furnished upper room. Prepare it there. And going, they found it as he had said to them, and they prepared the Pesach. So that's all we're going to do with Luke's account. Still not quite right. Now, John, we're going to do a little bit more reading, more in depth, because I believe I can see that this is giving you the order of the feast, and also he's talking about a supper rather than the Pesach. Yes, he mentions Pesach, but we're going to see the order. So we're going to read from John chapter 13, verse 1 to 2, and then 26 to 29. So John chapter 13, verse 1 and 2. And before the festival of Pesach, Yeshua, knowing that his hour had come, that he should move out of this world unto the Father, having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. And supper taking place, the devil, having already put it into the heart of Yehuda from Kirioth, son of Shimon, to deliver him up. Supper. Now, first of all, he said, and before the festival of Pesach, Yeshua, knowing that his hour had come, and now he's mentioning a supper. Okay, so the supper is going to take place first. As everybody knows, it is the Last Supper. So we read verse 1 to 2. We will go and read verse 26 to 29. Yeshua answering, It is he whom I shall give a piece of bread when I have dipped it. And having dipped the bread, he gave it to Yehuda from Kirioth, son of Shimon. And after the piece of bread, Satan entered into him. Yeshua therefore said to him, What you do, do quickly. But no one at the table knew why he said this to him. For some were supposing, because Yehuda had the bag of money, that Yeshua was saying to him, Buy what you need for the festival, or that he should give somewhat to the poor. Okay. You don't understand the festivals. The first day of unleavened bread. Okay. They were eating the Passover. First day of unleavened bread, it's a high Sabbath. Everywhere's shut. It's as simple as that. There's no business being done. It's unleavened bread. It's a high Sabbath. It's like a similar to, it's like a weekly the weekly Sabbath. There's no work being done. So how can they be eating the Passover and they're thinking that Yehuda's a way to buy something? That's a hint. It stands out like a sore thumb for me. It didn't at first, I gotta say that. It didn't. It only comes from reading the feasts, understanding when there's high Sabbaths. So, there's your hint. It wasn't a high Sabbath. It was because they believed that Yehuda was going to buy stuff or give to the poor. So, now that we've went through chapter 13, we go to chapter 18. So, chapter 18, and we're going to read from verse 1 to 3. Having said these words, Yeshua went out with his taught ones beyond the Kidron torrent, where there was a garden, into which he and his taught ones entered. And Yehuda, who delivered him up, also knew the place, because Yeshua often met there with his taught ones. Yehuda then, having received the company of soldiers and officers from the chief priests and the Pharisees, came there with lanterns and torches and weapons. So we're seeing the order. Because Passover hadn't. In fact, it had just started the evening, because they're going to go through the evening, through the day, and then Yeshua gets sacrificed. The lamb gets sacrificed, and then that night they have the lamb with the unleavened bread. So now we go to chapter 19, and we're going to read from verse 12 to 19, and then 31 to 42. So verse 12, chapter 19, verse 12. From then on, Pilate was seeking to release him, but the Yehudim shouted, saying, "If you release this one, you are not Caesar's friend. Everyone who makes himself a sovereign does speak against Caesar." Therefore, when Pilate heard these words, he brought Yeshua out and sat down in the judgment seat, in a place that is called Pavement, but in Hebrew, Gabbatha. And it was the preparation day of the Pesach week. There you go. It was the preparation day. Getting everything ready for the following, for that night. Okay? That night, for the unleavened bread to be eaten with the Pesach. So Yeshua could not be eating the Passover lamb. And it was the preparation day of the Pesach week, and about the 6th hour. And he said to the Yehudim, "See your sovereign." But they shouted, "Away, away, impale him." Pilate said to them, Shall I impale your sovereign?" Then the priests and the chief priests answered, "We have no sovereign except Caesar." At that time then, he delivered to them to be impaled. And they took Yeshua and led him away. And bearing his stake, he went out to a so-called place of a skull, which is called in Hebrew, Golgotha, where they impaled him at the same time as the lamb, and two others with him, one on this side and one on the other side, and Yeshua in the middle. And Pilate wrote a title too, and put it on the stake, and it was written, Yeshua of Nazareth, the sovereign of the Yehudim. We know here, this part here, it's not about the order of the Passover, but I wanted you to know this. We know that the Pharisees were angry and they didn't want this sign put up because obviously it said sovereign. But there was also something else behind it. The words in Hebrew, if you take the first words, or the first words, the first letter, sorry, of each word, it spells out the holy name of God. So you can imagine they're looking at that and saying that, and he's saying he's sovereign. They're saying that, Pilate's saying that he's sovereign. They're angry. They don't want that put up there, saying that he's God. No. So it's not just about saying the sovereign, it's about what the name's being spelled out. So that was just a little nugget, more than anything. Now we got to go to verse 31 to 42. Therefore, since it was the preparation day, that the bodies should remain on the stake, that the bodies should not remain on the stake on the Sabbath. For that Sabbath was a high one, so it was a high Sabbath. Okay? The high Sabbath was coming in that evening. So these people could not remain on the execution stake over the Sabbath. And the Yehudim asked Pilate to have their legs broke and that they be taken away. Therefore the soldiers came and broke the legs of the first and of the other who was impaled with him. But when they came to Yeshua and saw that he was already dead, they did not break his legs. But one of the soldiers pierced his side with a spear, and instantly blood and water came out. And he who has seen has witnessed, and his witness is true. And he knows that he is speaking the truth, in order that you might believe. For this took place in order for the scripture to be filled. Not one of his bones shall be broken. And again another scripture says, they shall look on him whom they pierced. And after this, Joseph of Ramathaim, being a taught one of Yeshua, but secretly, for the fear of the Yehudim, asked Pilate that he might take the body of Yeshua. And Pilate gave permission. Therefore he came and took the body of Yeshua. And Nicodemus, who at first came to Yeshua by night, also came, bringing a mixture of myrrh and aloes, about 100 pounds. Then they took the body of Yeshua and bound it in linen wrappings with the spices, as was the habit of the Yehudim for burial. And at the place where he was impaled, there was a garden, and in the garden a fresh tomb in which no one had yet been laid. There then, because of the preparation day of the Yehudim, they laid Yeshua, because the tomb was near. So it's preparation day. Passover hadn't come yet. So this is why I believe that Yohanan has the full chronological order, whereas the rest has been mistranslated somewhere along, whether rightly or wrongly. Should I say intentionally or unintentionally. But I hope that this has sort of been an eye opener, and I hope that it would actually lead you to go and actually study the feasts, because they are very, very important. They're important to understand. And as I said, they're not the feast of the Jews, which has been translated in the Bible on a number of occasions. They're the feasts of the Lord. And so when we read that, we're actually being lied to. We're being lied to, and we don't realise it. So I hope it's been a blessing, and I hope it's challenged you to go and read the Torah, because you're never going to understand the Messiah unless you read the Torah. It's as simple as that. I've said it on numerous occasions, where we believe that Yeshua has broken the commands. We're being told that he's breaking commands, when in reality he was only breaking the religious traditions of the Pharisees. So thank you, and we will see you again next time on Messiah Kidnapped. happy Pesach. Pesach starts tonight. So I hope you all have a good one. Shalom.